Hello, everyone. I am Sean, and welcome once again to my Horror Corner. As always, thank you so much for watching today. I really do appreciate you. And again, to those of you who have become subscribers, an extra thank you to you, your support, your encouragement. It means so much to me. I know I say it every time, but you guys are the best, and I really do appreciate you guys encouraging me to just keep doing this and having fun with this. So, thank you. From the bottom of my heart to my subscribers. All right, enough of the mushy stuff. Let's get into today's episode. Today, we are going to be talking about Nicolas Cage and Renfield from 2023. Um, when this movie, I have seen this movie once prior to rewatching to get ready to record this episode. And when I first heard about this film, I remember being pretty excited. I like Nicolas Cage. I'm a huge fan. You've probably heard me talk about it before of the Universal monsters. So, knowing that we were going to do something like this and make Renfield the character, but that Nicolas Cage was going to be also playing Dracula, I was just like, okay, this might be pretty cool. So I was super excited about it when I got to see it. I wanted to go see it in theaters. Some things prevented me from doing so. So as soon as it was streaming somewhere, I immediately checked it out. Um, yeah, I was incredibly disappointed the first time I watched this movie. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I was very, very disappointed, and that's probably why I haven't never gave it a rewatch. But when I decided to talk about it for this movie, I'm like, okay, I need to talk about it for this episode on my channel. I was like, okay, I really need to give this a rewatch because I need to see if maybe I was just in the wrong mindset or something. So let me watch this one more time and see what I think. It wasn't streaming anywhere, so I ended up buying it on Blu-ray. And watched it again to get ready to record this episode. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say at the moment. Let's talk about Renfield. So, quick overview for the film. Tagline: It sucks to be him. The overview: Having grown sick and tired of his centuries as Dracula's lackey, Renfield finds a new lease on life and maybe even redemption when he falls for a feisty but continually angry traffic cop, Rebecca Quincy. The film was released April 14th of 2023, directed by Chris McKay, screenplay by Ryan Ridley, story by Robert Kirkman, produced by Chris McKay, Samantha Eisenbaum, Brian First, Sean First, Robert Kirkman, and David Alpert. Cinematography by Mitchell Amundsen. Probably said that wrong. Music by Marco Beltrami, distributed by Universal Pictures. Runtime of 93 minutes, a budget of 65 million, box office of only 26.9 million. This film did not make its money back, didn't even make half its money back, and was considered a huge bomb. Scores: Rotten Tomatoes, 58% from critics, and surprisingly to me, 78% from the audience. But the IMDb score is 6.4 out of 10. It's funny to me how those scores are so different sometimes. Cast for the film: we have Nicholas Hoult, Aquafini, Ben Schwartz, Brandon Scott Jones, Adrian Martinez, Jenna Cannell, Caroline Williams, and Nicolas Cage. Few behind the scene things on this one before I get into the plot and my thoughts on this movie. Not a whole lot of notes, but uh, you know, they were really talking about this whole dark universe thing for these Universal monster films. Those plans seemed to get derailed by the failures of Dracula Untold from 2014 and The Mummy from 2017. When that happened, Robert Kirkman pitched the idea of Renfield as a comedic approach to Dracula. The studio absolutely loved that idea. They wanted a comedic version. They thought that would be great. Um, Director Chris McKay was hired primarily because of the pitch that he gave to combine the comedy and the action. And so that's how he got the job, and Universal Studios was very excited about this. The film is basically considered a sequel to 1931's Dracula, and there is an opening scene there that we'll talk about here in a moment that recreates some of the events of Dracula, but with Nicolas Cage and I just totally drew a blank. Nicolas Cage and Nicholas Hoult inserted in place of Bela Lugosi and Dwight Frye as Dracula and Renfield. All right. So let's go ahead and get into the plot and start talking about Renfield. Um, the film opens up with Renfield in this self help group, and it's people who are in toxic relationships, abusive relationships, talking about how mistreated they feel by their partner. Um, and Renfield is, sitting there listening to this. And then we kind of get that thing where I was talking about, where we kind of get to see the black and white Dracula from 1931, some scenes recreated there, but with Nicolas Cage in for Bela Lugosi and Nicholas Hoult in for Dwight Fry. Um, Let me say this. So even the first time I saw this movie, I've seen this twice now, the self-help thing at the beginning, I was like, oh, okay. But I really did like both times that I've watched this movie, the way they kind of did this throwback and make it look like 1931's Dracula, but put in Cage and Holt. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was very cool. And I remember the first time I saw this movie thinking, I like this. This is going to be a really cool thing and a great. I mean, I know the whole film wasn't going to be that way, but I just like that tribute. Being such a huge fan of the Universal monsters and the Dracula from 1931, I was like, yeah, I really like that they're doing this to open this film. This is going to be cool. And seeing it again today, I'm like, yeah, I still like that. I still like the fact that they did that. But from there, it does get a little. After they show us these events where they've kind of replaced these people in this, they then show a scene where Dracula um, is in this big battle with this priest and this other guy, and it appears that they have got the upper hand because they've trapped Dracula in this protective circle, and Renfield is there. We also discover that Dracula gets his power from drinking people's blood. Renfield gets his power from eating bugs, which we know he did in the original. So I mean that's fine. But again, in the original, that didn't give him any power. That was just what he did because he was crazy. So I'm going to start right off the bat to let you know that I don't like that twist. Maybe that's nitpicking, but I just really don't like that because I don't know. To me, it becomes a completely different character than what we had in the original film that we're trying to base this off of. Um, and Dracula convinces Renfield to help him out of this protective circle because he basically convinces Renfield he's his only friend. He's the only one that cares about him. If something happens to him, Renfield's going to be locked away forever. And so Renfield helped get Dracula out of this circle. And then we have a couple of one primarily death that is nothing like the Dracula that I know, where he almost turns into this fog, goes into this priest's mouth, and then the priest explodes. That also kind of sets the stage for what's coming. It lets you know that we're going to get outlandish. It lets you know that we're going to do some crazy things, which I guess is fine because I really don't want to be that old guy saying this is not the way it's supposed to be. But for me, this is just, it immediately starts to cause me to lose interest. I felt like that the first time I watched it, and I was feeling that again when I watched it this time because it's just not. I never saw Dracula do anything like that in the 1931 movie that I love so much. It's not part of the book by Bram Stoker. And Renfield becoming powerful by eating bugs is not part of any of that. So I get they're trying to do something different to give us a different spin on this, but I could just tell you that it's already in the beginning of the film not working for me. From there, we go 90 years later, and Dracula is trying to heal from some of the battles that he's been through. Renfield is in this self-help group, um, and basically what Renfield is doing is he's supposed to be bringing Dracula victims, and so being in this self-help group, he's not targeting them. He feels badly for them, but he's finding out who their partners were that had been so abusive, and then basically trying to give Dracula those people, going and capturing them and giving them to Dracula. And we see a battle after him being in this group and listening to how one girl has been abused by her partner. Renfield goes after him, and again we get Renfield eats some bugs to be able to fight these people, and it's like watching The Matrix. I mean, it's just some outlandish action, some crazy scenes. I mean, it's if you really love action movies and that's what you want, then this is probably fine for you. I like action movies, but I didn't want this, not for this story. We also find out that these people that Renfield is fighting that they had stole drugs from another group of criminals, some big time people. They have sent an assassin to kill them. Renfield also ends up killing the assassin, and the guy who drove the assassin there, named Teddy, manages to get away. But then he gets arrested at a DUI checkpoint by Officer Quincy, played by Aquafina. Um, I hate to be so negative. I don't like this character at all. The performances in this film are fine. I think Nicolas Cage does a good job as Dracula. I do like his performance as Dracula for the most part. I still don't feel like it's, for lack of a better way to put it, my Dracula, but his performance is fine. Um, the other performances in the movie are okay. I mean, they work. But I don't like Aquafina's performance here, and I do not like this character. It just seems so awkward to me. This character is very, very awkward, and yeah, I'm just not. I don't know. I'm just not buying a whole lot of what's going on here. I find myself annoyed. This movie. Well, I'll come back and say that here in a moment. Um, from there, you know, after Renfield has this battle and this other guy gets arrested, Renfield's talking with Dracula. Dracula doesn't want these criminals. He needs pure blood. So he wants Renfield to go after, he mentions nuns and like busloads of cheerleaders and that kind of thing. He doesn't want criminals. He needs pure blood. And so Renfield ends up going to a restaurant. But while he's there, Officer Quincy is also there and a mob attack. Mob attacks this restaurant, wanting to basically kill Quincy for arresting this Teddy guy. Renfield and Quincy end up teaming up and fighting these gang members. And again, it's like watching The Matrix. It's just some crazy, outlandish action. And I like action movies. But for me, even the action movies I like are the old school action. I like Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, that kind of stuff. These things where people are flipping over tables and sometimes they look like Jackie Chan. Sometimes they're doing Steven Seagal moves. It seems so crazy to me. It's just so, I don't know. This movie does not feel like a Universal monster movie in any way, shape, or form to me. I know it's supposed to be about Renfield and not Dracula, not so much the monster, but I don't know. It just doesn't work. It does not work for me at all because this isn't even the Renfield that we know from the book or the original film. I mean, it's just so completely different. Um, Teddy ends up meeting Dracula later, kind of wanting to work with him and Dracula working with his team. His mother's in charge of this, mafia boss. Renfield goes back to the self help group and starts now talking about how he feels controlled. He doesn't mention that it's Dracula, but he feels controlled and kind of relating to them, and they think that he's just in an abusive relationship like they are. But then Dracula shows up there. And without knowing who he is, they invite him in, and so the Dracula ends up slaughtering everyone in this self-help group. Um, Quincy then Dracula leaves. Quincy shows up and sees Renfield here now with all these murdered people, and so she ends up arresting Renfield. But again, then we get another scene of where we this gang, this mafia, and a lot of crooked cops attack again, and so Renfield and Quincy end up battling them again. It's very repetitive, in my opinion. We do find out that they've also taken Quincy's sister hostage, and so we kind of get into the final part of this where basically Renfield and Quincy go to try to save her sister and put a stop to Dracula once and for all. And again, after some more repetitive, crazy ass action stuff, they managed to trap Dracula in this circle, uh, like what we had seen back at the beginning of the film. They end up beating him to pieces and scattering him. And her sister, Quincy's sister, gets healed. The self help group all gets resurrected because they use Dracula's blood to heal the sister and bring all these people back, which also is chaotic to me. And that's Renfield. And for me, this movie feels like, and I know that's a very quick review, but I just I don't enjoy this movie. I kind of wished it wouldn't have popped up. The way I come up with things to. I've talked about this before. The way I pick what movies I'm going to review most of the time. Occasionally, I'll just go in and pick something. Um, on my own, but most of the time, the way I come up with these films is I've got a list of like 400 horror movies, and I put it in this website, this random website, list them in there, hit a button, and it pulls them out like in a random order. And whatever it puts up there, then that's the one I do next. And so when Renfield came up there, I was like, oh, why did I even have this in the list? But I decided to stick with it and give it a rewatch to see if maybe my opinion had changed, and it hasn't. This movie feels to me like you've taken a little bit of the Dracula origin, the basic concept of the story of Dracula and Renfield. You've put it again a Matrix like action movie with Saturday Night Live humor, and that's what you've given us for the story of Renfield. A little bit of Universal Monster, a whole lot of The Matrix, and some Saturday Night Live. And that combination does not work for me at all. This is, yeah, I just don't like this movie, which is disappointing because I, again, like some of the people in the film. I like Nicolas Cage, Jenna Cannell, who plays one of the girls in the self help group, and from the first Terrifier movie. Huge fan of hers. I absolutely love Jenna Cannell. Um, but this movie just is a bomb, in my opinion. There just almost nothing about this movie outside of that opening scene where we get the throwback to the 1931 movie with Nicolas Cage as Dracula. That's almost the only scene of this film I like. This is just not a good movie for me, and um, I'm going to end up ranking it even lower than I thought I would. I'm just not a fan. Renfield doesn't work for me. Maybe it works for some other people. Again, there was a lot of, the Rotten Tomatoes score there was like 78% or something like that from the audience. So there are a lot of people that really enjoy this film. I'm just not one of them on this case. It just doesn't. I love the Universal monsters. I wish we could still get a dark universe, but when we do shit like this and the dumbass Tom Cruise mummy movie, no wonder they're not working. I mean, that's just my opinion on this. Is we're going to throw shit like this out there and wonder why we can't have a dark universe. Well, this is why. I wish we could get better tellings of Dracula and Frankenstein. The Wolfman movie that came out earlier this year, and then Nosferatu movie that came out last year. I know Nosferatu is not part of the Universal Monster section, but I absolutely loved both of those. I thought that was a great telling of Nosferatu and a great telling of the Wolfman. The Invisible Man movie from a few years ago, I really enjoyed it. So I know it can be done, but let's not do this kind of stuff because this was just not good to me. So for me, scale of 1 to 10 on Renfield, gosh, it's not good. It's really not good. Yeah, with the exception of that opening, there's just I don't know. Nicolas Cage does a good job as Dracula. He's entertaining. Let me put that differently. He doesn't do a good job as Dracula. He's entertaining. Um, yeah, I guess. I mean, it's an entertaining watching him play this role, but it's just not my Dracula. Um, this is certainly not the Renfield that I know. Opening scene is good though. This is not a good movie. I'm gonna say 3 out of 10. Yeah, 3 out of 10, just because I like Jenna Cannell and Nicolas Cage was entertaining. So, yeah, Renfield 3 out of 10 for me. Not a good one. But I'm curious what you think. Maybe you like this movie. So if so, tell me what you think about it. What is it that you like about this movie? And if you don't like it, then tell me what you don't like. But I want to hear from you. I want, yeah, hit the like button on the video today. Leave me some comments. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. I'm trying to get to set a small goal of getting to 100 followers this year. Last time I looked, from the last couple of days, I was at like 86, I think. So we're getting close. So, help me get to that 100. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like. Share these videos. Follow me on social media. I do try to follow back as much as possible. Just search Sean's Horror Corner. I'm out there on just about everything there is. I try to put out videos every Monday, every Thursday, and then this coming Saturday, I'm going to have my first episode. I'm going to go back on Saturdays from time to time and talk about The Walking Dead. I was a huge fan of that show. So occasionally, it won't be every Saturday, but occasionally on Saturdays, I'll be talking about going back, doing a rewatch of The Walking Dead and talking about that. So horror movies on Monday and Thursday, The Walking Dead occasionally on Saturdays. So yeah, subscribe so you don't miss anything. Share the videos, like, comment, and help me promote this thing. I'll be back again in a couple of days with that first episode on The Walking Dead, and then got some good stuff planned for next week as well. So again, thank you so much for watching. I will see you soon.